like I said earlier, I just love raising these boys. We molded them. The Lord just gave them good, healthy bodies and turned them over to us. We did the best we could with them. Did a bunch of things wrong and a few things right.
Well, it seems the right ones have caught on here. I mean,
well, I guess it's a matter of opinion. The mother now very pleased with them.
Doris. We should mention Doris is really, as near as I can figure, the power behind this whole family anyway. Is that correct?
Well, you better say that again.
You better say that. I'm not in trouble.
Mention to my mother, when I was setting the national record, the state record, and all that, sure, my dad was my coach. My dad was the reason that I was best in the country. If it wasn't him, I would have been nothing in the discus and track and field. He came to me one time and he said, Kerry, if you want to dedicate and do your dedicate your life to this discus, I'll go back to school and I learned everything there is to know about the discus. And my father did that. And I'll tell you what, folks, every day my mother was out there lugging 4 or 5 discus that weigh 4 pounds apiece, throwing them back to me every day. And if she couldn't throw that far, she was running in that far. But my mother was there every workout. And I'll tell you, that's God bless my mother. She was a little lady.
I was his sister.
Yes, I figured. Mike, here it comes. Ready? See? I think we should give it a little applause for Mike to kind of wake him up. We talked to your dad, Mike, the first part about how wrestling was like. It was a real tough life. It is tough today, of course, as Kerry just explained. But you guys have gone over the edge to where your following is more like a rock star, a music star, as opposed to people who perform in wrestling. What is life like trying to get around town, trying to shop, you recognize a lot?
Well, yeah, it's a fun thing. It's really fun. It's always, especially for me when I was so young coming in, and I'm still young now. Y'all remember that. Anyway, but it is an exciting thing, especially coming out of high school and getting into it and everybody recognizing you, wherever you go. And like I said, the malls and things, it's hard.
Have you planned to be a wrestler?
Yes, I think so all my life.
Had Dad planned for you to be a wrestler?
I don't know. How sure. What it was, when I was about 6 years old, I started amateur wrestling, and I used to go to with my dad to the matches. Every match he ever had, I used to go to.
He's never been beat.
Mike's the only one of us who's never been beat? Wow.
So they made it good.
Yeah. That's pretty tough. Let me ask you about something, again, for people who maybe are not wrestling fans, at least don't follow it closely. You kind of made the headlines in 1985 by suffering toxic shock syndrome. Would you explain, you were near death, and we heard, all about the mail, the prayers, everything that happened. How did you contract that disease, and how did you shake it?
Well, I feel like I went to the hospital for my shoulder surgery just before that. I think a week before I got sick, and they did the surgery on me, and the day I got home, that's the last thing I remember was just going home and sitting there watching TV, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up in the hospital about, 2 or 3 weeks later on.
So you didn't know the vigil that was going on?
No, I really didn't know what was going on. My fever was so high. I had a 107 fever temperature, and it was so high that I was hallucinating the whole time, so I didn't really have a perception of what was really going on. I have memories of some things that happened and something, but I don't remember them doing anything to me that I didn't like putting the different instruments and things like that, open up my wound again and all that.
Again, for me watching it as just a viewer seeing the television news, the question was not whether you'd ever wrestle again, but whether you'd live.
Yeah.
So this has been a pretty amazing recovery. And then the next time we read about you rolled your car over. Is that so?
Yeah.
That's kind of my fault.
Let me hear your defense here, guys.
Yeah, I want to just tell you why it was my fault. We were watching tapes over at my house because Mike had been out for a while, and we were kind of, Kerry and I were really anxious to get him back, and we couldn't put him on heavy weights yet, and we couldn't even wrestle with him yet. The doctors had strict orders. And so we were watching videotapes of some of the Oriental wrestlers, and we had tapes and tapes and tapes. Anyway, about 4:30 in the morning, I wake up and my brothers are all asleep. So I said, hey, you guys get up, get out of here. Let's go to bed, And
4:30 in the morning.
so next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call that Mike rolled his car over, but he didn't even get a scratch. So he's fine. I tell you what, my little brother Mike is the most inspirational. He got an award here recently.
Yes.
And my little brother is the most inspirational wrestler of my lifetime, my brother Kevin's lifetime. He's taken all that, and my little brother Mike has came back. They always put me over so good.
Oh, yeah. I think you're doing just fine by yourself. I tell you what, let's do our break, and if you're ready, we're going to come out of the audience and get your questions for the Von Erichs, okay? If you continue with that, let's see the back show. We're going to be Ed Bush TV Talk Show. Just before we go to the audience, I want to ask one question that is going to come from the audience anyway, fellas. And Fritz, I don't know if you want to answer this or the boys in reaction to this, but it was a very sad day. We heard about David, Fritz, your son, dying in Japan. Could you tell us in just a moment or so the circumstances that led to the end of his life and what this has done to the family, Fritz?
Yeah, to say it was devastating is the understatement of the century, naturally for us. David left here, went to Japan, and he left with an illness, which we didn't know anything about. David never told us when he hurt. He had an infection in his intestine.
Did you know that?
No. I knew he had some stomach problems, but in our boys, when there's a main event there, the boys been raised to be there. Just thousands of people that paid their money to see those boys wrestle. Show a broken leg, broken, we expect them to be there. So we knew that he was sick, but they had no idea how sick. He got over there in his first match and got a severe leak in the intestine area, and it ruptured the intestine. David again didn't complain. They invited him to go out to dinner the first night, which he always do when the stores come, and they told him no, he thought he was going to bed. Told him no when he was hurting. David apparently died in his sleep during the night. The intestine ruptured.
Was it even more frustrating because it was 10,000 miles away? Did you just feel that this added to the grief because you were so removed from what had happened to your son?
Although it just, the words can't describe it. I lost my baby. My wife had lost her baby. Erich had lost her brother.
Jerry?
He was on another part of the world.
What was the reaction of the brothers? The brothers. What was the reaction?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, I was out seeing my mom and dad out in Tyler, Texas, and my brother Kevin came knocking on the door. And they walked in the hotel room, and they sat down, and I just got up, getting ready to go train. And it's different when a brother dies and a brother tells you. You try to make it not as bad on the other brother, but my brother Kevin came up and he said, your brother Dave died. Our brother Dave died. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, when something like that happens, your legs feel like water. You ask what it did to the family. It made us more or less realize that we're just passing through the door. That hey, our bodies may be left here on earth, but our souls go to heaven. And if you've accepted the Lord into your heart, then you're going to go to heaven. And a lot of people said, well, we're never going to see your brother Dave again. What do you feel about that? Well, I'm a Christian. My family is Christian. And
so reinforce the feeling you already have.
And when you're a Christian, you know that you're going to see that person again. So if you accepted the Lord, hey, you're going to see my brother again in heaven. So, hey, he's in a lot better place than we are. When something like that happens, same thing with Mike.
Yeah.
The one who's not hurt is not Mike, is not Dave. It's the people that are left behind.
All right, let's wait.
And it's torture. And it's made us accept death a lot easier. But Hey, we know our brother Doug's in a lot better place than we are, right?
Okay, I'm on here and I need to ask these people the questions. You have a question for which Von Erich?
For Kevin, yeah, I'd like to know, Kevin, besides your father, what most inspired you?
To be a wrestler?
Yeah. In your wrestling career.
Besides your father, what most inspired you to be a wrestler or in your career?
We're not hearing very well for me.
I made that out, just barely though. What inspired me to be a wrestler was, now, you know, all my life I loved football, and I always had a football in my hand. I couldn't find people to play with me, so I just punted up in the air and catch it. And in college, I was a punter, I was a running back, I was even a wide receiver once I hurt my tight end. And so football was always kind of number one there, but I always wanted to be like my dad too, and I had a knee injury, and I was afraid that if I kept playing football, I'd get more knee injuries because my coach used to say that I didn't have any regard for personal injury, that I kind of had reckless abandon, is what he called it, and it's kind of deal that pain tells you, you know, when to quit. Well, I was pushing a little too hard, and I was afraid. Yeah, I was afraid that I'd hurt myself, you know, and where I couldn't wrestle, which is my number one goal.
Okay, I have a question for which Von